Joining us in this conversation is Kiambu MCA, that is Elijah Njoroge. Good morning, and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here on KTN News Center. Let me begin with Elijah, the MCA for Kiambu County. Kindly paint for us a picture of how much the county of Kiambu is holding in terms of not paying suppliers in that county.
To 1.5 million annually.
MCA representing Ruiru Town, Kiambu County, and also the caucus chairman, Kiambu, and I'm very happy because of this time. Number one is to say that, like I have heard many people say, is that pending bills are the unsettled financial obligations for the goods and services procured and invoiced and not paid for. Like, for example, in Kiambu County, as a county, we normally get 9 billion shillings as county allocation, where we pay 7 billion shillings to for wages, and we are left with 2 billion shillings. 1 billion shillings goes to recurrent expenditure, and we are left with 1 billion shillings for development. That means if the people of Kiambu needs development worth 5 billion shillings, we will have a deficit of 4 billion shillings. Currently, we owe people 3 billion shillings after paying more than 2 billion shillings. And I can say from where I come from that pending bills is the biggest problem that the counties are facing, because people are seated down in their homes thinking that their county governments are working very well, but they are unstable because of the pending bills, and they owe people a lot of money. And the reasons, like you know, is that county governments do have insufficient funding from the national allocations, the county national government, and also low revenue collections from the people in the counties. Remember, in many counties, revenue collection is almost impossible, because if you quote some counties like Marsabit, Turkana, Taita Taveta, you get that people there and their activities will not be able to pay any revenue to the county governments. So we need to look at the issue of pending bills so that we can fund our counties sufficiently, so that we can avoid the pending bills issue.
All right. So let me bring in Nairobi County Secretary, that is Dr. Jairus Musumba from our City Center studios. And Dr. by June this year, actually, this year, if I'm not wrong, you may correct me on that, Nairobi County ranked the top in the list of counties owing suppliers about 64 billion shillings unpaid, despite the goods and services already having been rendered to the counties.
Yeah, that is correct. We owe about 64 billion shillings. But you should remember that this amount of money has not been accrued within the period of the county government. This is money that has accrued for all since the city council times. So when we became a county, we also inherited the money that was indebted to the former city council. So it is true that we owe this amount of money.
All right. And you bring in an important point, because that's the next question I'd wanted to ask, Biashara Ward, MCA. And there is an argument by county bosses, the governors, that some of these pending bills, they acquired them from former leaders, the former county bosses, and also from the municipalities that were there before. Is there a conversation between the national and the county governments through members of the county assemblies, and I'm talking about the county assembly sittings, as to how they can share these pending bills? Honorable Njoroge, if you can hear me.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. My question is, yes, I can hear you. My question.
It is very good to note that there are political reasons that make counties get pending bills. One of them being, if, for example, Governor A is a former governor, will pay their own contractors so that their own contractors can give them bribes from the contracts. So there are political reasons and also bribery and corruption reasons that bring about pending bills. Remember, you're supposed to clear the pending bills first before you procure again. But nowadays, our professionals are not working professionally. They are procuring when there is no money and when they know that the county county treasury doesn't have enough money for whatever they are procuring for.
All right. Right, and let me just do a follow-up, with that. You're saying that the procurement department within the counties are budgeting and doing procurement even when the counties do not have enough funds for procurement. So what is the county assembly doing? The committee that is in charge of procurement at the county level.
Thank you very much. The work of the county assembly is to oversight the county executive, the governor and his cabinet. And our work, we normally have committees in the county assemblies. And one of the committees that oversight what is happening is the public accounts committee. And what we normally do is to check whatever that is happening and go through the books and the accounts. Then in case we notice that it's something that is not going on well, we report those people to the relevant authorities, that's to the Auditor General. And the problem in Kenya is that all the public offices in Kenya are very corrupt. You report them, they'll be given part of the share of the corruption that has happened through the contracts.
All right.
Because governors will give new contracts to their own contractors and they will pay them and ignore the ones who had supplied the counties before they are coming to the office.
All right. So, Dr. Msumba, the Nairobi Metropolitan Service was in the process of payment for unpaid bills for the financial year ended June 30th, 2019, for those who are owed 5 million shillings and below. So, as we speak, how much is Nairobi County owing suppliers?
I'm not sure if you're asking for Nairobi City County Government and NMS all together. If it is both of us, we owe what I've already said, around 64 billion Kenya shillings.
If it's both of you, it's good. You're saying you owe 64 million Kenya shillings, but now 64 billion. Oh yeah, 64 billion, because I remember Nairobi County is one of the counties that's topping the list in terms of pending bills. That is both Nairobi County and the NMS. But how much is Nairobi County alone, having in terms of pending bills?
Actually, Nairobi Metropolitan Services is an appendage of Nairobi County Government. So what they owe is what we as the county government owes. So in total, the county government as an entity, which includes Nairobi Metropolitan Services, owes 64 billion shillings as I've said.
All right, so Dr. Msumba, kindly make me understand this and also our viewers. When Nairobi County is doing procurement of the services they need to be rendered by suppliers, do you do it as Nairobi County alone, or you do it as Nairobi County together with the NMS, so that when it comes to payment, it is done by the NMS and also Nairobi County?
For the transferred functions, NMS does their procurement on their own, and for the functions that remain, we do them as a Nairobi City County.
And just before I bring in Biashara Ward, Elijah Njoroge, so now the national government has given that directive that by the end of June this month, all pending bills must have been paid if the county governments and governmental departmental committees want money transferred to their accounts. Is Nairobi County in a position to pay the 64 billion pending bills?
No, we cannot be able to pay the 64 billion pending bill because we do not have the money. But we have around 1.34 billion that has been earmarked for the pending bills that were verified by both Auditor General and the Lumumba Commission. And when the Treasury transfers this money to us, all efforts have been done to make sure that this money is paid.
Mm-hmm. All right. And Njoroge, I mean, is the same question that I posed to Dr. Musumba in terms of whether Nairobi County is able to pay the 64 billion. Is Kiambu County able to pay the pending bills? Because when I was talking to Barchok, governor Bomet governor, that is Dr. Barchok, he said that the bus actually stops at the door of the National Treasury because they're yet to release funds to the counties. Yet at the same time, counties are also collecting revenues, which you've also said is not enough to pay the pending bills.
I want just to comment on Nairobi County is to say that Nairobi County is supposed to be declared a failed county. You do not come and say that you have a pending bill of 64 billion. It means that you don't have control over your own expenses and also your bookkeeping. And the governor, the CEC, Chief Officer Finance in Nairobi County, should leave office because that is not work. How do you accumulate bills of 64 billion? From billion number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 10 to 64. And the people of Nairobi.
To Biashara Ward, Elijah Njoroge were just trying to explain to us about the pending bills that counties have, and they have until the end of this month to pay the pending bills. Your closing remarks, Dr. Musumba, as we bring this conversation to an end, now that a directive has been given, what is the way forward? Because you're saying that you're not in a position to pay the 64 billion shillings that you owe suppliers.
Thank you very much. As I said, we have 1.34 billion Kenya shillings that has been earmarked for the pending bills. We have already gone through the verification process, and we are ready. Actually, about 3 weeks ago, if I'm not wrong, we took a team to Naivasha to re-verify the pending bills that we are able to pay. Those are the pending bills below 5,000 and below. That is 5 million and below.
All right.
So for us, when this money is transferred to us, we are ready to start paying them.
All right. Right, Dr. Jairus Musumba, Nairobi County Secretary, just telling us that the county only has about 1 billion shillings to pay. And just before I wrap it up, your final closing remarks, Honorable Njoroge.
Thank you very much. So I will encourage and ask the government to ensure that the county governments clear their pending bills and that they are regulated and be forced to follow the Public Procurement Act and the County Government Act that says that you should not procure when you know you do not have monies to fund whatever you're procuring. Finally, it is good for them to show us, to be showing us, how do you verify that these pending bills are genuine? How do you verify that a contractor who did a Mombasa Road and it is 2 years later, how do you verify that that road was done? Because the validity of some of these things, including the daily usables, like in hospitals, you cannot be able to account that they were supplied or not supplied. So pending bills is a nest of corruption and should be done away with. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Biashara Ward, MCA Elijah Njoroge in Kiambu County. Gentlemen, asanteni sana for talking to us this morning. So it looks like the blame game is going back to the national government, the National Treasury and Planning, saying that the national government actually needs to disburse funds to the counties so